What's up, board fam? Eric here, and I think the end is near. And I'm not saying this lightly. This isn't hyperbole. I honestly feel like the days of outrage content being pumped out 3, 4, 5 videos a day from these channels, it's over. I think that party is over. I sat down today. I was going to do a live stream. I scheduled it for today. As you guys might have seen, it got rescheduled for tomorrow. We're having really bad weather right now, and so the internet is shaky. I was having some issues with it, so I thought, let me just sit down and we'll watch a video. But I wanted to go through and just look at some of the channels to see how they're doing, do my wellness check on the channel. And I'm noticing a high increase in slowing down of content from various channels. We're going to look at a few of the bigger players. We're going to look at a couple of the fringe guys. And then we're going to take a look at someone like the Critical Drinker, who I think is making a pivot in content. I looked at his channel the other day and I was kind of shocked to see what he was doing. So here we go. This is the Nerdrotic flagship channel. This is the main channel. And it looks like Nerdrotic just uploaded a video today about Obi-Wan Kenobi, a review of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which came out 4 years ago now. Let me hover and see what kind of video, if this is a actual like essay video or a clip video. Usually on the main channel, they don't lean in on clips like it's actual scripted stuff. Either way, it's a show that came out in 2022. Why are we still talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi? And it wasn't even released on May the 4th. So it wasn't even like he was trying to tie it in to May the 4th, right? He wasn't even doing that. So I don't understand why these guys, and this isn't the only channel that's doing this. You see some of these other channels going back and talking about woke shows from like half a decade ago. And if you look here, still talking about Starfleet Academy 8 days ago. 2 weeks ago, Marvel failures. Like, the output is very slow on the flagship channel, and putting out a video about Obi-Wan Kenobi is like, what are we doing? We've got so many things coming out this summer that you could be talking about. Like, what are we doing? And then over here we have Ryan Kennel, right? Ryan Kennel was a habitual 3 to 5 video a day channel. Over 24 hours. You could be up at like 2 a.m. you put out a video. Look at this. The last videos that he made were 3 days ago, and he did 2 of them. Then before that was 5 days, 2 of them, 6 days, 2 of them, 9 days. So he is slowing down his output quite a lot. And to be honest, the views aren't that good. 3 days ago and 35,000 views? Put the fries in the bag. I mean, legitimately. You like these guys and the amount of overhead that they have for their content, these views aren't going to work for them. Even 60,000 isn't great for a channel with 347,000 subscribers. If you want me to tell you about the math, you can ask me in the comments, but it's just not good. Those aren't good numbers. Look, 20K views on a Marvel video. People aren't clicking on Marvel hate anymore. They're not clicking on it. People are excited for Spider-Man. They're excited for Doomsday. They don't want to listen to these guys tell them it's going to be shit. Even the James Gunn Supergirl stuff isn't really popping. 35,000 views. It's not good. And look, I could go into like the numbers, but we're not going to do that. This is sort of just a visual observation of what's happening. I'll probably look into this deeply or more deeply later on. But yeah, it doesn't seem like his output is high anymore either. Now we're talking specifically about video uploads. I'm not talking about live streams. Live streams is a completely different beast altogether. We can discuss that. Maybe I'll do a video on that and why they live stream more than they, put uploaded content on their channel, but we'll get to that later. Geeks and Gamers, main channel. Remember when the Quartering called out Geeks and Gamers and he said, we're going to start making videos like we used to? Well, you have it. Look at this. Like, the video output is awful. 6.5K reviews on that one. The biggest one they had was Michael Jackson, and 43,000 isn't great. And he's still doing what he said he wasn't going to do, which is uploading clips to the channel. Box office records for Michael. Try to talk, so here he's trying to frame, they tried to do this thing where critics attacked Michael Jackson, fans loved it. Such a weird thing for them to jump into, but that's what they were doing because they couldn't find anything else to talk about. So they got into that, and then they tried to talk positively about Michael Jackson. Nobody wanted to click on it. And then this random PlayStation really fucked up video with this same old clip art of the screaming person from like a decade ago isn't working. 11K views. Nobody's watching this stuff. And this isn't me saying nobody lightly. Clearly you can see the views. Not good for a channel with 409,000 subscribers. It's not. And then you look over here, Geeks and Gamers 2. Now they are putting videos out on this channel, but these are clips. This is a clip channel. So essentially all they're doing is taking their live streams and turning them into videos. That doesn't really, to me, that doesn't count the same as like making actual video content for your channel. And again, it's a double dip channel, so they can do their live streams on one channel and then put clips on another. That's all it really is. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, YouTube doesn't have an issue with people doing that, and a lot of channels do it. So I'm not going to say too much about that, but it is sort of, again, just double dipping. So I don't count this as actual content creation in the same way I would making videos. Now, Nerdrotic Daily is also a clip channel. This one is also putting out content. You'll see this one is a little bit more consistent on content compared to the main Nerdrotic channel, which is staggering content out because this is the write stuff, you know, write out a script or some sort of like notes, edit, all that stuff. Hey, you have to pay people to do that because we know Gary's not doing that himself. He's not paying people to do that anymore. So it's much easier for him to just do the clip channel where it's just taking clips from his stuff, throwing in some old, some B-roll from trailers and stuff, and uploading that. That's what Nerdrotic Daily does, primarily. Now, the thing is, the line is blurred between some of these channels on whether or not they're exclusively one thing. Like, the clip channels and the main channels, sometimes they flip-flop content. Sometimes they'll put the clips on the main channel if they think they can get more views on it. And if not, they'll throw like a pre-recorded video onto their clip channel instead of putting it on their main channel. It really just depends, but that's essentially what they do. One is a clip channel, one is an actual pre-recorded channel. Let's take a look at that Star Wars girl. Now, that Star Wars girl is someone who I've talked about once in a while. She wasn't always, like, she would talk about stuff that wasn't always what we would talk about over here. So she wasn't always on my radar, but, you know, she's got her following here. But even with her following, her views aren't great. And her videos have been staggered as well. 2.5K views, 3.1K views. I mean, guys, let's be honest. With my modest channel over here, with 8 point some K subs, we're getting those views over here. There's no reason a channel with 250,000 subscribers should be getting these amount of views on videos. It's just, there's no excuse for it. And this is one from 3 weeks ago. Because YouTube views things on percentages. Like, you look at everything as a percentage. The raw flat numbers, like the 2.5K views by itself, that's not the issue. The issue is when you look at the percentage of difference between subs versus view ratio, which is the thing that YouTube looks at. It's a metric that you would look at in your analytics. And that's not good, which tells me that, again, we're seeing a disinterest in this kind of content in mass. Like, this isn't a small thing where we're looking at one channel by itself. We're looking at all of these channels. Numbers are lower, output is lower. And they're doing that because that YouTube isn't really leaning into that. Let's take a look at a channel that is pivoting a little bit. So this is Critical Drinker. Now, Critical Drinker has decided that he's going to do things a little bit differently, and he is going to pivot his content in a way that's going to help his channel stay afloat, because we all know that the bigger channels will be around a lot longer because they just have a larger amount of room under them, under their foundation. If you'll see here, let's look at the last 2 weeks. I was talking about this, I think the other night on live. I don't remember where at, but if you look at it, not everything is just chuddery, right? It's not all chuddery stuff on Critical Drinker's channel anymore. Matter of fact, we can even go further back here. We can go back to 3 weeks. Talking about Unforgiven, analyzing that. Why can't Hollywood make Resident Evil work? Which is a less chuddy title and thumbnail than what we would see from these guys. Avengers Doomsday will make or break the MCU. We watched that one. That was pretty bad. But that was the one that stood out to me. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Mark Wahlberg, Casting Calamities, another like anti-Hollywood video. But this one is a bit more, less chuddy and more wide in terms of like its net, the net that it's casting for viewers. Michael, the critics were wrong again. They tried to do the Michael thing. Blake Lively, Crash and Burn. This is one of Critical Drinker's typical like people click on this one because it's a story about one particular person, which is smart for him. Resident Evil trailer reaction, which views aren't super great on that one. Tomb Raider 2001 is better than you remember. These are awful views for his channel, 474,000. For any other channel, that would be great numbers. For his channel, not good. If you look at the record here, 1.2, 1.2, 1.1. We got 550 on that one. It's not great. This one's really not good. And then back up to a 1 million on the Odyssey because of the trailer coming out and him doing a review on it. What I'm getting at here is that there's a few things occurring at the moment when it comes to these content creators. The slop channels, the ones that are just pushing out reading articles, are getting nervous. If you look at a channel like Yellow Flash, who pretty much that's all he does is read articles, he started using like video game B-roll footage so the article is not on the screen with him, because he knows that channels without people who aren't showing their face and people who are reading articles are at high risk on YouTube right now for AI hitting their channels and pulling them down. Even if they're not doing anything against terms of service, that is a problem. And so he's seeing an issue with that. So he is doing something like putting up video game footage and talking over it. I don't know how long that's going to work before YouTube is like, this is still the same thing. You're still just reading articles. We'll see if they crack down on that or not. But you have the people doing that who are worried about putting out videos without their face on it. And then you have people who are cutting back on output. Some of the channels we looked at where they were used to be doing 3-5 videos a week or a day have cut back to maybe 2 or 3 videos a week, which is crazy. Channels this large can't sustain themselves on a 30,000 viewed video 3 times a week. It's impossible. You can't do it. They're concerned. I know they're not going to let you guys see that or believe that, but they are absolutely 100% concerned that this could be the end of the gravy train on YouTube when it comes to outrage content. The end is near. It's not one channel. It's not one thing. We're seeing multiple things occurring at the same time on all of these channels. The YouTube pipeline that leads to this is drying up. That right-wing manosphere is being fractured now because of MAGA. So the Trump administration is affecting that. That's being affected, which is in turn affecting this, the right-wing pipeline content, which most of these channels were doing that. They were grifting on that. If you look at someone like Jeremy for D-Day Cobra or whatever, he's moved to politics and he's grifting over there doing that and leaving the fandom stuff behind because it's a much more stable ecosystem right now for doing this. This stuff that we're looking at here, this particular content, is suffering. The last thing we're seeing are people pivoting on the just straight up chuddy stuff to less chuddy, more accessible stuff to the general audiences. They're trying to expand outside of that. We're seeing Critical Drinker do it. There is a little bit of success with him, but as we're seeing with like the Tomb Raider video and the Resident Evil video, the success is not going to be the same. It's not going to be a 1-for-1 trade-off for him with such a large channel. Again, I think the end is near. I think it's pretty obvious this is happening. And you might ask me, like, how do I know from looking at these signs? On my other channel, on my Eric's Reloaded channel, when YouTube changed the algorithm for TV show reviews around 2017, 2018, when I was doing Arrowverse content, when they changed that, and then we saw the steep drop off of people doing that kind of content because they're trying to crack down on clip channels and people who were doing reaction videos. They wanted to cut down on that. So everybody got hit with that. And we saw almost like this ski slope of effect on channels after that happened. Views went down, visibility went down, engagement went down, all of that went down. And it went down because YouTube decided that it was no longer viable for them and they didn't care if it affected the channels. And so a lot of channels got hit with that. This, to me, is very similar to YouTube slowly turning off the tap. They're like, the water was running at full blast and they're slowly turning back the tap on that. And you have to make changes or you're going to get your channels done. And that's not me being sensational. There are people that were doing Arrowverse content back when I was doing it that have disappeared. Their channels have dried up. If you go back and you look, I used to stream with a content creator named Paigey back in the day. You go look at Paigey and the Arrowverse channel. Huge channel in terms of like numbers. I think he still has over 300,000 subscribers. Who, once they did that, once they changed the algorithm, the channel just, it dried up for him. the views weren't there. People weren't clicking on stuff. I'm seeing the same thing here. This is it's a repeating cycle with YouTube. So we might not be looking at this ecosystem as a thriving problem for much longer. And not because the channels aren't out there, but because YouTube has decided they don't want to push this content out to their viewers.